Toyota has topped Australia's new car sales charts for over 2 decades, and that dominance isn't an accident. It's backed by real reliability data and one of the widest dealer and parts networks in the country. But most popular and best value for your money aren't always the same thing. And when you actually dig into servicing costs, parts pricing, and a few specific weak points in Toyota's local lineup, several brands close the gap or pull ahead outright. This isn't badge loyalty talk. It's what the servicing data and owner experience across this country actually show. Drop a comment telling us which state or territory you're in, because dealer reach and parts freight times genuinely change this conversation depending on whether you're in Sydney or somewhere out past the Black Stump. Let's get into it. Starting at number 5, Kia. A decade ago, this would have been a stretch, but Kia has spent the last several years closing the gap on Toyota fast, and the warning math tips things in Kia's favor. Kia backs its Australian lineup with a longer factory warranty than Toyota offers, which means when something significant goes wrong in year 6, 7, or 8, there's a real chance Kia is still covering the bill, while a Toyota owner is paying out of pocket. Models like the Kia Sportage and Sorento have built a genuine following here, handling everything from suburban school runs to regional touring without drama, and using parts that are generally cheaper to source through independent mechanics than Toyota's dealer control parts pipeline. That distinction matters more than most reliability rankings admit. A lot of most reliable lists only measure how often something breaks, not what it actually costs you when it does. Kia wins on that second number often enough to earn its spot here. If you're cross-shopping a RAV4 against a Sportage, don't assume the Toyota badge automatically means a cheaper service bill, because increasingly, it doesn't. If you've run a Kia through a few Australian summers, tell us in the comments how the servicing costs actually stacked up. Number 4, Hyundai. Hyundai and Kia share a parent company and plenty of engineering, so it makes sense they'd land next to each other on this list, but Hyundai earns its own spot for a specific reason: how gradually repair costs climb as the vehicle ages. Where plenty of brands see servicing bills spike hard once a car passes the 100,000 kilometer mark, Hyundai's climb tends to be more gentle, particularly on models like the Tucson and Santa Fe, both of which are everywhere on Australian roads for good reason. Hyundai's dealer footprint has also expanded aggressively into regional Australia over the past several years, which matters enormously if you live outside a capital city and don't want to drive 3 hours for a scheduled service. That's a real, practical advantage Toyota doesn't always match once you get well outside metro areas. On top of that, Hyundai's parts pricing tends to run below Toyota's OEM pricing on comparable components like brake assemblies and suspension parts. It's not a knockout blow, it's a steady, unglamorous advantage, and unglamorous is exactly what you want when you're budgeting to keep a car for a decade. Hit subscribe if you're the kind of buyer who actually cares about the real numbers instead of just chasing whatever badge is trendy this year. Number 3, Mazda. This is where the list gets genuinely interesting, because more than one Australian servicing comparison actually ranks Mazda ahead of Toyota on maintenance cost, not just level with it. Mazda has stayed conservative with its engineering for 2 decades, sticking with naturally aspirated petrol engines, while some rivals chase smaller turbocharged units that are cheaper to build but more expensive to fix. The Mazda 3 and CX-5 have built a track record of being genuinely reliable without the electrical gremlins that plague flashier competitors, and parts availability is strong right across the country, including regional areas, because Mazda has invested heavily in its Australian dealer and parts network. Here's the specific angle worth knowing. Toyota's diesel commercial vehicles, the Hilux and Land Cruiser in particular, have had well-documented DPF, or diesel particulate filter, problems in the Australian market specifically, an issue that hasn't shown up nearly as much in the US data, because Toyota's American commercial lineup is largely petrol. That's a genuinely expensive repair when it happens, and it's one area where Mazda's simpler, largely petrol lineup sidesteps the problem entirely. If you've had a Mazda serviced regionally, let us know how the wait times and pricing compare to the nearest Toyota dealer. Number 2, Subaru. Permanent all-wheel drive across nearly the entire lineup gives Subaru a practical advantage that goes well beyond the spec sheet, particularly once the bitumen turns to gravel. which happens fast the moment you leave most Australian capital cities. The Boxer engine and symmetrical AWD combination has proven genuinely durable over high-kilometer ownership, and it's exactly why you see so many Outbacks while past 250,000 kilometers still doing the school run or the farm track without complaint. Subaru's older Boxer engines did carry a well-known head gasket issue that could get expensive to fix, and that's worth knowing if you're shopping used. But on recent model years, that problem has largely been resolved, and overall servicing costs have come down as a result, now sitting competitively close to Toyota's. Where Subaru genuinely pulls ahead is in avoided costs, fewer accident and drivetrain-related repairs thanks to standard AWD traction, combined with strong resale value specifically because of that reputation. When you add up total cost of ownership over a decade, factoring in fewer surprise repairs and a healthier trade-in figure, the numbers frequently come out ahead of a comparable Toyota, especially for anyone regularly driving unsealed roads. If Subaru's gotten you through flooded causeways or red dirt out west, we want to hear about it in the comments. Number 1. Honda. This is the brand that goes toe-to-toe with Toyota on its own turf, and on the repair cost side specifically, Honda edges ahead in more than one independent Australian comparison. Honda sits in the same top tier as Toyota for long-term reliability, with the CR-V and Civic both showing strong track records of passing well beyond 250,000 kilometers with nothing more than scheduled maintenance. What actually separates Honda from Toyota in practice isn't some massive reliability gap, because there really isn't one. It's what you pay when routine work comes due. Honda's average servicing cost consistently lands at or below Toyota's across Australian comparisons, and labor costs at independent mechanics tend to run slightly cheaper too, since Honda's mechanical layouts are widely understood by every trained mechanic in the country, not just factory-trained dealer techs. Honda's CVT transmissions in certain older model years did draw criticism here, and it's worth knowing before buying used. But that issue has largely been engineered out of recent generations. In a country where cars take a real beating from heat, dust, and long-distance driving, Honda's combination of near-identical reliability to Toyota, consistently lower servicing costs, and a dealer and independent shop network that genuinely rivals Toyota's reach makes it the strongest case on this entire list for actually beating Toyota, where it counts most your bank account. Here's the honest bottom line. Toyota didn't build its reputation in this country by accident, and for a huge number of buyers it remains the smartest, safest default, particularly in the UTA and commercial space where its resale value is genuinely unmatched. But the safest bet and the best value aren't automatically the same vehicle, and these 5 brands prove that assumption deserve a second look before you sign anything at the dealership. If this breakdown changed how you're thinking about your next car, hit like so more Australian drivers see it before they walk onto a yard. Subscribe if you want more head-to-head breakdowns like this one, because there are more brands worth reconsidering coming soon. And drop your state or region in the comments along with which of these 5 has actually earned your trust, because real ownership experience from across this country beats any spec sheet we could put in front of you. By smart, not by trend.